Hey everyone, and happy holidays! Today I am going to make a quilted stocking. As you may know, I am about to have a baby. Maybe this month, maybe next month, we'll see. But she is going to need her own stocking, and I thought that I would take this opportunity to make her one. I'm going to be using some special fabric. My friend designs and makes fabric, and she approached me a couple months ago to design some for her Christmas line. So I'm really excited that I get to use that today. If you are interested in getting your hands on some of the fabric or some of my friend's other fabrics, which I suggest you should, I'll leave a link to her info down below so you can go check it out. But anyway, let's get started. You'll need the main fabric, backing fabric, quilt batting, furry fabric, matching thread, scissors, and a stocking pattern. I just drew up a quick stocking pattern onto a piece of paper. I ended up taping a bit more paper on to extend the stocking for the length that I wanted. You can also just use an existing stocking to help draft a pattern for one of these as well. You need the main sock part, and then another rectangle that's as wide as the stocking and a couple inches tall, depending on how far down you want the furry fabric to go. Also, I didn't include the seam allowance onto my pattern, so I had to account for that when I transferred my pattern onto my fabric. So transfer the pattern onto your backing fabric twice, making sure to mirror them, which actually it might not matter if you're using a plain fabric like I am. The part where you absolutely need to make sure to mirror the pattern is with the main fabric, if you're using one with a pattern or some kind of texture, or basically if it has a right and wrong side, you need to make sure to mirror the pattern. And actually, like I mentioned, I'm going to be using the fabrics that I helped design for my friend's fabric line. It's two different ones, so I'm going to be using the different fabrics on each side. Again, I will leave a link down below to my friend's store so that you can go and buy some if you are interested. Anyway, use this pattern to cut two pieces of the quilt batting as well. And for the furry fabric, use the rectangle and cut two pieces. This is optional, but I ended up doubling the length of the furry fabric because I wanted to be able to fold it under and have that fuzziness on the underside of the cuff as well. I'm not sure if this makes much sense, but you'll see later in the video how I do it. Cut two rectangles, a couple inches long and maybe an inch or two wide. This will be the loop for hanging the stocking later. Take the backing fabric and draw your quilt design on it. I'm going for a super simple diamond pattern. I just used my ruler and drew straight lines equal distance apart, and then I repeated this but perpendicular to the first set of lines. And I did this on both pieces of the backing fabric. Now layer the fabric, the main fabric, the quilt batting, and then finally the backing fabric, and pin them in place. When quilting, I like to, and suggest, pinning the crap out of the fabric to help keep the fabric from shifting too much while you're sewing. And once everything is pinned up, sew along your quilting lines for both body pieces. And here's how it looks so far. Now pin the body pieces together, right sides touching, pin around the edges, and sew together, leaving the top open. Take your fuzzy fabric, pin it together, right sides touching, and sew along the edges. Finally, take the loop pieces and sew them together, right sides touching, along the long ends. Flip right side out and do 2 more stitches along the edges to give it more of a finished look. Now to sew these pieces together. And of course, this project was going so well for me that, of course, right at the end, I made a mistake. When these pieces are sewn together, the fuzzy fabric should have the right side exposed when it's flipped down over the stocking. I got mixed up in my head. I stared at this for forever trying to figure out how I'm supposed to pin it, and I got it mixed up in my head, and I pinned and sewed it where the wrong side of the fuzziness showed when I flipped it down, which was annoying. So I had to seam rip this, and then to make sure it was exactly correct, I went back and pinned it exactly how I wanted the stocking to look in the end. Then I flipped it around so that I could pin it and sew it properly. So to do this correctly, the stocking needs to be wrong side out, and then thread the fuzzy fabric over the top so that the right side of the fuzz is touching the wrong side of the body pieces. Pin the loop at the back of the seam of the stocking, sandwiched between the body pieces and the fuzzy fabric, with the loop part tucked onto the inside. Then pin this the rest of the way around the edge, so it's like this. Now sew it around the edge, and when you flip it right side out, the fuzzy fabric will look like it's wrong at first, but then when you fold it over to make the cuff, it'll have the right side facing out. So like I mentioned earlier, I cut it a bit longer so I could basically like double flip the cuff down so that the raw edge is totally hidden. Then basically it's done. You'll see everybody has their name on the cuff of the stocking, so I need to go back and write her name on there. But for now, it's done. I'm still trying to figure out where I want to hang our stockings this year, but here's where they ended up for now. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, all of that good stuff. If you want to be featured here, then use the hashtag CheslinDIY on Instagram or Twitter, and you may be featured here in a future video. If you want to follow me on any of my social media, the links to those will be down below. If you have any questions or suggestions for future videos, please leave a comment down below, and I'll see you next week. Thank you so much to my patrons for helping me produce this video. If you like my videos and have learned something from them, please consider supporting me on Patreon to help me continue to make them. It's totally optional. I'll still be making videos either way. It just helps me be able to put out better stuff. A link will be down below, or you can just click up here in the corner.